Board President Tomorito, we are streaming.
Welcome, everyone, to the Board of Education meeting. I call this meeting to order. I want to remind those we'll be speaking during tonight's meeting that we use closed caption. I'm pretty sure whoever gets on YouTube, you see closed caption going. And so please remember as you come up to the mic to speak clearly so we can all hear you so that it's captured. I would like everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and we'll do it in English, and then we'll do it in Spanish. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Juro fidelidad a la bandera de los Estados Unidos y a la república que representa una nación bajo Dios, indivisible, con libertad y justicia para todos. Thank you, everyone. I would like to acknowledge our tribal lands. We are grateful as we acknowledge the Native people on whose homelands we gather, as well as diverse and vibrant Native communities that surround Albuquerque. They also make a huge contribution to our not only our state, but also in just the basic tasks that they fulfill around Albuquerque and within Albuquerque. So this is their homeland, so thank you very much. We'll move on to a moment of silence for those who serve, whose lives in service into our country that we acknowledge in this moment. Thank you. Dr. Albright, may we have a roll call, please?
Joshua Martinez.
Yes, present on Zoom. Thank you.
Vanessa Stoga.
Here.
Courtney Jackson.
Here.
Rebecca Betson.
Here.
Heather Benavides.
Here.
Warikia Bowman.
Here.
Ronaldo Tomori.
Here. Now we would like to go to our second item on our agenda, and that's adoption of our agenda. So our next item to consider is our adoption of January 17th, 2026 Board of Education meeting agenda. Do I have a motion and a second?
I move that we consider adopting the January 21st, 2026 Board of Education meeting agenda. This is Board Member Benavides. I will second. This is Member Jackson.
Great. We have Board Member Benavides who motioned, and to Board Jackson and as a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, we'll call for a vote.
Board Member Martinez.
Yes.
Board Member Astorga.
Yes.
Board Member Jackson.
Yes.
Board Member Betson.
Yes.
Board Member Benavides.
Yes.
Board Member Bowman.
Yes.
Board Member Tomorito.
Yes. The motion carried. Now let's move on to item number 3, our minutes approval. We're going to consider approval of the minutes from the Board of Education meeting on January 7th, 2026. The date was listed incorrectly, so please note that. I'm going to ask for a motion and a second.
I move that we consider approving the minutes from the Board of Education meeting on January 7th, 2026. This is Board Member Benavides. I'll second. This is Member Jackson.
Board Member Benavides motioned and seconded by Board Member Jackson. Is there any discussion? I'll call for a vote.
Board Member Martinez.
Yes.
Board Member Astorga.
Yes.
Member Jackson.
Yes.
Member Betson.
Yes.
Member Benavides.
Yes.
Member Bowman.
Yes.
Member Tomorito.
Yes. Thank you. Now we'll move on to item 4. And I know that's why everyone is here for this great excitement. So we want to student outcome recognitions for interim goal 4.1. Dr. Gonzalez, will you please lead the recognitions?
I would be happy to, Madam President, members of the board. Good evening. As you know, later this evening, we will monitor the progress of interim goal 4.1, which measures the skills, habits, and mindsets of our 3rd through 5th grade students. Before we discuss that report, we want to recognize students that truly exemplify the qualities outlined in goal 4: perseverance, self-regulation, self-efficacy, and social awareness. Students, when I call your name, please line up along this wall to my left. And once everybody has been called, you will be directed to come up to the dais so our board members can greet you and congratulate you based on your awesome achievement. We will then have a certificate and a small gift for you on this side of the dais as you come off the dais. So let's get started. Who's ready? Okay. All right, well, let's get started. Arabella Almaguer, a 5th grader at East San Jose Elementary School, consistently demonstrates empathy, respect, responsibility, and collaboration, serving as a positive role model who contributes to a supportive and inclusive learning environment. Malahai Trujillo, a 4th grader at Chaparral Elementary School, is a kind and dependable leader who advocates for herself and for her peers as a member of the Principal Advisory Council. Iker Fernandez Sausameda, a 5th grader at Edward Gonzalez Elementary School, is a thoughtful student leader who values everyone's voice and who has shown perseverance as a 2-time Spelling Bee finalist and as this year's school champion. Josiah Torres, a 4th grader at Rodolfo Anaya Elementary School, is a strong, solution-oriented leader who shares ideas with thoughtfulness, kindness, and maturity. Drew Montoya, a 1st grader at Georgia O'Keeffe Elementary School, is exceptionally kind and respectful, working cooperatively with classmates and brightening the classroom with his positive attitude. Luke Montoya, a 2nd grader at Georgia O'Keeffe Elementary School, approaches learning with enthusiasm, curiosity, and a consistent willingness to take on new challenges. Aria Black, a 5th grader at Zuni Elementary School, is a confident and determined student who leads with creativity and has worked hard to become the star she always knew she could be. Zoe Andrade, a 5th grader at Atrisco Elementary School, is a hardworking, empathetic, and self-regulated student who perseveres through challenges and consistently leads by example. Owen Chavez, a 5th grader at Alvarado Elementary School, demonstrates kindness, responsibility, and respect while helping create a positive and supportive school community. Zev Nemiroff, a 5th grader at San Antonito Elementary School, is a curious and motivated learner who continually seeks opportunities to challenge himself and others. Dante Vega, a 5th grader at Lew Wallace Elementary School, has shown remarkable growth in self-efficacy as a Principal Advisory Council leader, presenting his data wall initiative to school and district leaders. Jodeci Ujeke, a 5th grader at Dolores Gonzalez Elementary School, brings empathy, curiosity, and a calming presence to the classroom, making the learning environment brighter for everyone. Kendra Lupercio, a 5th grader at Armijo Elementary School, works hard sets up academic goals, and supports her classmates while demonstrating leadership and self-regulation as part of the Principal's Advisory Council. Zaire Peña, a fourth grader at Pajarito Elementary School, shines as a resilient leader who demonstrates perseverance, self-regulation, and outstanding social awareness while ensuring classmates feel included. Brooke Baca, a fourth grader at Mission Avenue Elementary School, is a kind and helpful role model who founded a student history club that builds community and engagement among her peers. Eliana Velarde, a fifth grader at Manzano Mesa Elementary School, leads with kindness, confidence, and integrity while advocating for peers, working hard academically, and striving to make a positive impact. Charlie Kukowski, a fourth grader at Hawthorne Elementary School, demonstrates exceptional SEL skills, confidence, empathy, responsibility, and a growth mindset, persisting through challenges and respecting diverse perspectives. Mallory Stevens, a fourth grader at Matheson Park Elementary, excels in all four areas of skills, habits, and mindsets: perseverance, self-regulation, self-efficacy, and social awareness. She consistently demonstrates a strong work ethic, a positive attitude, and a willingness to take on challenges with confidence. And last, but certainly not least, Owen Abeta, a fourth grader at Governor Bent Elementary School, has grown significantly, both academically and socially, showing leadership, confidence, and a bright future ahead. And it looks like we have one more friend that joined us, and that is Imena Medrano from Navajo Elementary School. Imena consistently demonstrates a strong eagerness to learn and a willingness to help others any way possible. She serves as a positive role model for peers and displays leadership across all facets of Navajo Elementary School. Imena is clearly on the right track. She leads by example both academically and socially. Ladies and gentlemen, please help us give a big hand to these young people. In a moment, we'd like to invite the students to take a photo with board members, but first, before we do that, we want to take a moment and recognize the people who make these students' success possible. Families, teachers, principals, support staff, and all those who encourage, guide, and believe in these children every day. Would you please stand so we can thank you? Now, students, if you would join us at the front for your recognition.
Students, please go back to the front of the room so you can get a picture.
So if we can get our students to make their way back to the front of the room.
Nobody's listening to you, Troy. Oh, they give- Yeah. Troy's like, Go in your chair. You gotta go with the flow, Troy. Are we going down here or are we standing here? To go down there?
You go down?
Actually, no, you. Okay. Chrissy's like, no.
We'll come in
Squeeze
here.
in.
Yeah, we come in.
Come closer.
Okay.
They can't see.
Yeah. Right there. There you go.
Can you see everybody?
You see the word, yes? You gotta move in.
I'm Troy. Go. Okay, bring it in. That's right there. Ready? One. Okay, so ready.
And ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to stay for the rest of the board meeting, but you don't need to feel obligated. You are free to leave and enjoy the rest of your evening at this time.
Wait. I will. Oh. You're like, oh my God. It's like, well, he's the one that let it. Really cool. It was cool. Yeah. I was like, okay. At least she had a role, so it wasn't like, you know. Yeah, who knows? Maybe that'll be her next, you know, her next. That's so cool.
Yeah, I'll
send it to you. I would love to.
Yeah. There's not gonna be anybody left.
I guess there's an overflow in.
Oh.
People that are
Gonna switch out.
come from there.
Like a march and then like, you know, speakers and stuff. So there was supposed to be speakers and then one of this like radical musicians came out and they were gonna do their stuff. I ended up leaving. It was like 3 a.m. and I was already 2 o'clock and had a performance. So I was like, I was like, I love enthusiasm. Everyone was a lot. Yeah. I want to see the artist because he's from New York. Oh, I mean, you know, being in solidarity with like people who were at the, I mean, they were very. I said, "Okay, what's this?" And then I had my baby. And my brother. Wow. Yeah. So they were like,
Do we have any public comment?
do we have any public comment? There's one more. Oh, literally, that's why. And then, of course, as soon as we get to it, I'm supposed to go to work, I like look on the live. Oh, here they come. Well, yeah. I was like, I'm actually. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Madam President and members of the board. That concludes our recognition.
Thank you. All right. Our next item is our public forum. Board Secretary Benavides, will you please share the instructions for board public forum?
Yes, thank you, President Tomarito. I'll just give it a second till it quiets down.
I think a lot of people will be moving from the overflow room.
Oh, did we?
Okay.
Okay. Say it again.
No, that's okay. Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Christy. So I want to welcome our public forum guests and remind everybody that when you signed up to speak, you were asked to review the roles and expectations which our presiding officer will enforce. The New Mexico Open Meetings Act requires that our agenda specify in advance the items that will be discussed and voted on during the meeting. Therefore, a public forum isn't a dialogue among speakers and board members, but rather a chance to hear from our community. We will call participants to speak in the order they signed up, whether in person or virtual, and those that are here with us tonight will be asked to come to the microphone at the back of the room when their name is called. Online guests will stay in a virtual waiting room until it is their turn to speak. We have set aside 45 minutes for public forum. If there are 22 or fewer speakers, you will each have 2 minutes to speak. Otherwise, you will have 1 minute. Tonight, we have
7 speakers. Board Member
7
Pros.
speakers. Thank you. Thank you, Sal. Once your time is up, you will be asked to quickly wrap up. If you feel unable to convey your message, you may email boarded@aps.edu. And in addition, for those of you here tonight, a representative from our service center is here to assist you if you need it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Secretary Benavides. Our first speaker this evening is in person, Marcy May. And Marcy will be followed by Janet Sayers. You'll have 2 minutes once you begin speaking.
Thank you for listening today. This meeting started out with some really beautiful innocence, celebrating beautiful children and their kindness. But what we saw yesterday across APS, across Albuquerque, was irresponsible part on APS because they were children that left their classes during instructional time, violating PJ 32, which says a student shall be released to custodial or parent and guardian or an emergency contact with proper identification. And that's the only way that children are to be released. This information about Melanie Stansbury's little political antic had been advertised by KOB for at least 2 days. And she is a graduate of Emerge, which at least 5 of you are. And there was nothing that was sent home to the parents. Parents were not informed that their children may be walking out. And hundreds of students, I passed by Wantabo and Montgomery. I have videotape. I have pictures here of children walking into the street. And it wasn't like it was a news flash, like nobody knew what was going on. There was APD trying to direct traffic. And this political attack on our children, using them for a political agenda from our U.S. Congress representative, Melanie Stansbury, part of Emerge, put our children in harm's way. And Albuquerque Public Schools did nothing. I called the communications department and they said, well, the only thing that we can do is mark them absent, which is complete bullshiggity. Pardon my French. PJ 32 specifically requires a parent or a guardian to sign them out. And you guys did not do your job. Those from Emerge did not do their job. And I'm sorry, the people that were not from Emerge did not step up to the plate and demand at least a lockdown.
Miss May, I'm sorry, you've gone over your 2 minutes. Please wrap up in a very quick sentence.
Here's the thing. I have pictures of children out in the street from El Dorado. There was an accident at Sandia High School where a child almost got hurt. Albuquerque Public Schools has no business pushing Democrat political agendas.
Thank you, Miss May.
Because it's also against policy.
Thank you.
That you should have been protesting.
Thank you, Miss May. Our next speaker is Janet Sayers.
That were killed by illegal aliens.
Thank you, ma'am. Janet Sayers, you'll have 2 minutes once you begin speaking, and you'll be followed by Dr. Sonello.
Ready. Well, it is with great pleasure that tonight I say, Madam President Tom Morito, Vice President Betson, members of the school board and Deputy Superintendent Gonzalez. So I'm Janet Sayers. I'm a resident of, I'm in District 6, and I volunteer at Del Norte High School and also for the Del Norte cluster of schools. So thank you for the inspirational program that we did just witness with the children, because yes, they are our future. I'm not the future. I was 50 years ago, but anyway, thank you for that. And I just wanted to make a comment about the clear plastic backpacks. So at the instructional council at Del Norte, we talked about this for probably too long, for about a half an hour, and that was a week ago Tuesday. And there is still confusion about what will be gained at the high school level with those clear backpacks. I did hear Deputy Superintendent Gonzalez on the Terry Travis morning show one Sunday morning talking about the layers of safety anyway, and that this is just part of that. But I think there's still confusion about if the orchestra students can bring their instruments in solid containers, and athletic students can bring their athletic equipment if they're on a sports team in non-clear, then not sure just what we're gaining. And then there was some also confusion about, can girls bring a makeup kit in a clear? Does it have to be solid? Anyway, I just wanted to pass that on. But again, I'm just excited about this new school year and new leadership. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker is Dr. Sanello. So you have 2 minutes once you begin speaking.
Good evening, Madam President and members of the school board, and congratulations to the new board members. I'm an alternative health doctor and minister who waited 9 years legally to become a naturalized American citizen and taxpayers. This week, we, the people of New Mexico, honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and remember his legacy in championing civil rights, faith, justice, and freedom, which has left a lasting impact on America. Dr. King's "I Have a Dream" speech during the March on Washington in 1963 inspired generations to no longer judge their neighbor by the color of their skin, but by the content of the character. Martin Luther King embodied the values we Americans and New Mexicans hold dear. The Republican Party was originally founded as the Anti-Slavery Party in 1854, with President Abraham Lincoln, who founded the Republican Party, issuing the Emancipation Proclamation and supporting the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments to abolish slavery and grant citizenship and voting rights in that order to Black Americans. Dr. King's life and activism remind us of the power of standing up for what is right, even when we're in a minority. So, starting this year, 2026, let us honor Dr. King's legacy by carrying on his message of God's unconditional love and unity, whether you're Democrat, Republican, DTS, Independent, etc. We're all humans who make mistakes and therefore not perfect, because we have a God who loves us so much that he's perfecting our imperfections if we humbly surrender our life to him daily. At the end of the day, we're all American citizens because we remember our U.S. motto, "In God we trust." Thank you. May God bless APS.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is on Zoom, Mr. Joe Cardillo, I believe.
Yep, you got it.
Okay, sir, you have 2 minutes once you begin speaking.
Thank you. Good evening, board president, board members. Congratulations to all the new folks that just entered, and of course our returning board members. Good to see you. And hopefully your school year is off to a good start. Just wanted to offer a brief comment regarding the school district's use of private company vendors for AI tools. I am someone who's worked in and around tech for many years, and I'm part of kind of an informal working group of folks that pay attention to data privacy and care a lot about that issue as it relates to our city and our schools and our state. And so I'm a bit familiar with some of what APS uses. For example, there is an AI reading assessment tool called Amira, which I believe is currently in use. I don't know if that contract has ever been shared with the public, so that may be something that needs to happen. But for folks who aren't familiar, that's an example of a tool that students share their voice recordings with to essentially kind of check their reading, assess their reading skills and levels. Another example would be something that I've heard about, which is there's some usage of some apps that have AI components that are used for mental health. I have heard that those are used by some of the charter schools, although I'm not familiar with the specifics. And then a third example would just be around something that one of the speakers already mentioned, which is sort of weapons detection systems. These types of AI tools in tech are still very experimental. And so I just wanted to offer a brief comment and encourage the school board, particularly to offer some oversight and some safety and guardrails with our district and our superintendent. I think the very first step is just to make sure there's more transparency around, for example, how our students' voice is being stored, cataloged, reused, potentially for training models. As we've seen with some of the consumer grade level tools like Grok, which is built into Twitter, there's a lot of potential for misuse and abuse. And so I think this is something that needs a lot more transparency, and just wanted to encourage the board to, going into this year, take some time to make sure that we do have that transparency and can kind of make better decisions as a community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is in the room, and it is Renee Pacheco. And Renee will be followed by Mary Herrera. And you'll have 2 minutes when she begins speaking, ma'am.
All right. Martin Luther King Jr. Day was celebrated on Monday. He wanted us to focus on a person's character rather than race. He fought for all children to have equal rights to education, for all people to have equal opportunities to succeed. He did not fight for free money to be given. He did not fight for free housing, but for people to work hard, to earn land, to buy a house, not to be given everything. When we are taught and expected to learn, to work, we value what we earn, we have pride in our work, and we continue to strive. Nowadays, we are teaching people to expect handouts, to rely on government, and to be a victim. There is a saying, give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, and you feed him for a lifetime. Should we just give, or should we teach? Martin Luther King Jr. also focused on the family unit of a mother and a father being in a child's life. Now the family unit is barely noticeable. Martin Luther King stood up at peaceful protests, not riots. He advocated no violence. He spoke to boards, to government officials, and he made it known that people were not being treated equally, but he wanted us to be colorblind. No one is privileged. We are all able to work, to earn, and to be successful. To make this happen, we must make sure the children can read, write, and do arithmetic.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker is Mary Herrera. And you'll have 2 minutes.
Good evening, school board members, Madam Chair, Superintendent, and welcome on board new school board members. I'm an APS Special Education Severe Needs EA, Educational Assistant. Excuse me, I'm here asking for a phone call to be made to injured employees to help us stop feeling lost in the process which APS has in place to protect employees. I was bitten in the classroom where I was an EA. Biting is a frequent occurrence in that classroom where I was bitten on October 30th, 2025. The bite became infected and I was out for 2 weeks of work healing. First, I went to Concentra where the doctor sent me back to work even after the bite had become infected. Second, I was advised to file an assault report, which I did with the APS police to receive assault leave. I never received assault leave, and all my sick and personal leave were used, plus 1/3 of a paycheck was taken out. Third, I went back to work still healing from the injury, thinking that I didn't have any sick leave left. I was not welcome, but treated as a liability. I felt hurt and shocked at this treatment. Trying to navigate the orientation given to me was difficult, while at the same time I was concerned with my infected injury. It was painful and extremely sensitive to touch, or the possibility of being bumped into in a severe needs classroom. There are 2 scenarios. 1, if nothing is done, someone else will be hurt an APS may be sued for a large amount of money. Number two, if APS employees receive adequate assistance from a person who can call and meet with them to help navigate the APS system after suffering a work-related injury, employee complaints may go down and employee satisfaction go up. I hope this brings to light a way to serve APS employees better. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker is Stuart Ingham, and he is on Zoom. Mr. Ingham, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, sir, you have 2 minutes once you begin speaking.
So, hello, my name is Stuart Ingham, a former employee of APS and a current commissioner on the Public Education Commission. I've been in my role very privileged to see the work that charter schools are doing across the state and in Albuquerque, and I'm an advocate for their presence in our public education scenarios. I believe that they are a real shining star and need to be celebrated rather than left in a situation where they feel like they're only marginal. Their charter school portfolio recognize that they have a huge number of assets there, and quality authorized the way to make charter schools be effective. And I would ask you to look into some of the methodologies we're using at the PEC, and we renew and review new applications. And when we have to revoke one, what we would have to do. We have not had to do that but once in my term. And it was not for reasons of performance, it was board. So anyway, thank you very much for letting me speak, and I hope that you'll look closely at your charter school portfolio and encourage them wherever you can. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir. President Tomorito, that completes public forum.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and move to the next item on our agenda. And that's to consider our student outcome focused governance. 6.1. So we want to consider acceptance of the progress monitoring reports for interim goal 4.1, grades 3 through 5. Presenters for tonight's presentation are Dr. Antonio Gonzalez, Leadership and Learning, Sherry Jett, Chief Academic Officer, Dr. Kenneth Salazar, Associate Superintendent, I missed somebody, and Randy Wallmeyer. Sorry about that, Deputy Superintendent. So right now I'm going to ask for a motion to consider this item, agenda item. Or do we go for presentations first? Sorry.
No, we'll make the motion first.
We make a motion first.
Go ahead. Oh, please.
Typically, we have done the presentation first for this progress monitoring, but if you want to do it as a motion and open it up, you can do it either way.
They were following the Robert's Rules of Order. That's correct. So we're going to go ahead and put a motion in a second to consider this agenda item.
I move that we consider accepting the progress monitoring reports for interim goal 4.1, which is grades 3 through 5th. Sorry, and this is Board Member Benavides.
And I second it. This is Board Member Betson.
Okay, so we have Board Member Benavides who drew the motion and Betson who second. So let's go ahead and monitor our interim goal 4.1. And Dr. Gonzalez, the floor is yours.
Madam President, members of the board, earlier this evening, we recognized several students who exemplify the skills, habits, and mindsets in Goal 4, attributes like perseverance, self-regulation, self-efficacy, and social awareness. These qualities our community told the board they want students to develop as they move from high school into college, careers, and life. Tonight, we are monitoring interim goal 4.1, which focuses on how well students in grades 3 through 5 are developing those skills, habits, and mindsets. Since this is the first progress monitoring report for some board members, I want to briefly note that these sessions are how the administration reports back on progress toward the board's goals, which reflect the vision and priorities of the community. They provide an opportunity to share where we are, describe the strategies in place to meet the goal, and allow the board to ask questions to get more information. I am pleased to report that based on our most recent data, APS is on track to meet the targets set forth for interim goal 4.1, with progress across all 4 measured areas. With that, we look forward to your questions and ask that you consider acceptance of the interim goal 4.1 progress monitoring report.
At this time, the board will go ahead and present their questions, and we're going to start off on the outside. And I'm going to start with Janelle, board member Janelle.
Thank you, team, for the report. I loved seeing the students. I wish I could hear more from them, but I also love that you provided us with some of the actual words that students gave on the survey. So thank you so much for sharing that. So my question, knowing that we are on track, how are we validating that increases in survey results reflect real changes in student behavior and school climate and not just changes in perception of survey conditions?
Good evening, President Tomarito, board members, Deputy Superintendent Dr. Gonzalez. I'm first of all excited to be here to share what we're doing in the skills, habits, and mindsets for elementary schools. What we're looking at is when we look at the data, what's amazing about this opportunity is this survey gives us quantitative data and qualitative data. When you see the results and we see the increases, that's something that we celebrate. But to your question is, how do we know what is truly happening? Those open responses. So you'll notice that with the strategies, there is the open responses aligned to those strategies, because we really want to make sure that student voice is utilized in what we are trying to do in Albuquerque Public Schools. So even though we do see the increases across elementary, we also want to validate that through the open responses. And as you see, and you're able to see that there's still a lot of work to do with the open responses. That's why those strategies are aligned to those open responses.
Follow up? Yes. Yeah, thank you so much. So just going off of that, in the report, I know that once the survey is filled out, we look at those open responses and there's a little bit more debriefing that happens with the student. Do we ever compare from student to student what their response was before and then after that debrief from the next survey?
Board Member Astorga, President Tomarito, Board Member Astorga, Deputy Superintendent Dr. Gonzalez. In the platform, teachers are able to identify the growth or the projections of where students have participated in the spring and the fall. Those are those opportunities where we are looking at those trainings for classroom staff, support staff to utilize that particular dashboard to be able to see their strengths, and you'll be able to see on a line graph pretty much those students that are doing that. So that's what's nice to see, a trajectory of a 3rd grader all the way to 5th grader. As we continue this, you'll be able to see the trajectory of how they've been throughout the year, and so forth. So yes, they were able to see that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and go to Board Member Martinez, who's looks anxiously out there waiting to ask this question.
Thank you so much, Board President Tomarita. I just want to thank the staff. You know, this was a great report. I am, getting acclimated to these reports and all of this. But I will say, I have a fifth grader, and so we do see this come up in his parent-teacher conferences, and so teachers really do explain kind of and go in depth of these results that they receive. My son exemplifies a lot of these attributes, and so just really wanted to give a shout out. I don't necessarily have a question right now, Madam President, but I just really want to emphasize that the teachers are doing an exceptional job with our students, and as a parent, getting that information really does make a difference because these are skills that I believe our students need to have. Conflict management, knowing how to control, emotions and ask for help and all these different things. And I see it personally being done firsthand with my children. So again, kudos to the staff, kudos to the administration as well as our teachers. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and go to next board member Jackson.
So my question is related to the very first strategy that is on page 5 of the report. And this is one question. It might have 3 parts to it. So be ready. So I'm hearing consistently from elementary teachers, both directly through public feedback, through social media, and even this evening at public comment, that sometimes when students demonstrate persistent or severe behaviors, teachers feel that their needs are not being addressed. They're describing situations where a student remains in the classroom, learning is disrupted for others, and the behavior does not improve over time. Some have even told me that this has contributed to their decision to leave the profession. Okay. So given that this strategy on page 5 is intended to build school-wide self-regulation systems, what evidence do you have, either from early adopter schools or from other districts that have attempted this approach, that this will lead to improved student behavior and improved teacher support and retention? Also, so part 2, how are we intentionally assuring teachers across all the cohorts that the culture of care supports them as professionals while protecting learning for the rest of the class? And then maybe the third part to that question, and I've got them all written down if I need to restate, at what point would you adjust this approach if those outcomes are not being realized? And I'm done.
Thank you. President Tomarito, Board Member Jackson, Deputy Superintendent Dr. Gonzalez. So here's what's amazing about this culture of care strategy is that this is our second year in training schools, the site teams. And I actually often quote you, Board Member Jackson. In our previous board meeting, we talked about culture of care. And the idea really is an 80%, 20%, 80% being proactive, 20% with the accountability and figuring out what happens for a reaction. The evidence that we have with this is we have had 10 schools become early adopters last year. And we did a listening tour with these schools with their site teams. And so I actually have, here were the overall strengths for those 10 schools. Students feel cared for and safe sharing their experiences. Circles are widely used and valued. Staff see clear climate improvements. Fights and conflicts have dramatically decreased in several schools. Student mediation and voice are emerging across elementary and secondary levels, and adult collaboration and shared leadership are improving. The challenges that we heard with implementation with these early adopters: staff training is still inconsistent. Time is the universal barrier. Burnout and emotional exhaustion are real threats to sustainability. Reintegration systems need standardization. Some staff remain rooted in the punitive beliefs. Family understanding varies widely, and class sizes and transient complicate belonging building. So those are the things that we looked at through our listening tours, and we did that in collaboration with Albuquerque Teacher Federation with these listening tours to listen to and hear what is the feedback. And what we were able to do is use that feedback to develop some of the strategies from the district. So looking at funding for stipends for those teams for time as an example. And so those are some of the evidence that we've heard from teachers. And we also heard that there are significant improvements even in our social emotional small groups sessions with students with disabilities, that those teachers have seen some changes with the student behaviors and how they're doing some community building in those classes. So that's the evidence that we have for your first question.
Can I pause you as a follow-up? Okay, so on that, what I'm hearing you say is that there's anecdotal responses that to the challenges, that you're hearing anecdotal feedback that the response to the challenges is working. Do you have data yet to support that the responses to the challenges are working?
The data so with these early adopters, there's 8 indicators that we're looking at. 4 of them are the skills, habits, and mindset, self-regulation, social awareness, self-efficacy, perseverance. We're also looking at teacher retention as one of the data indicators.
Okay.
So what's interesting about this model is it's not you implement the year and then everything's fixed and good to go. It's a 3-year kind of phase-in model with a focus heavily on tier 1, which is relationships. So these early adopters this year are in the layer 1 school building part of that framework, which is building relationships. That's the foundation that they're trying to build. And that's what we're tracking is these the skills, habits, and mindsets, suspensions rates, as well as teacher retention for these early adopters, as well as the schools that are getting trained this year.
Okay, thank you. Part 2.
Part 2. So part 2. What we are looking at for teacher supports and the culture of care learning is really making sure that there's the implementation. What we've found with these is teachers are more likely to implement in the presence of administrator support, as well as having high quality professional development. One of our philosophies for culture of care is it's not just a 4-day training and good luck. It is a 4-day training with ongoing support from our school climate team. Each school has been assigned a school climate manager that works with the schools and principals for ongoing professional development, consultation, and support. So those are some ongoing supports that we have as a district for these schools, the early adopters, as well as the schools that are getting trained, that got trained in the fall and are getting trained in the spring. And so those are kind of like what we're looking for, is that ongoing support for teachers. It's not just a one and done professional development.
Please go.
All right, and then for number 3, any adjustments, we are adjusting. An example of an adjustment that we had was, so our 10 early adopters, we selected those schools based off of principal understanding of already restorative approaches, as well as those that are part of the members of the district task force. Those are the 10 early adopters. The adjustment that we did this year was, rather than going through and saying, school X, why don't you try culture of care? We then allowed the instructional councils to decide interest for being able to, if they want to participate in the culture of care training. What we've seen from the difference of the early adopters to the schools that went through their instructional council is a lot more teacher buy-in and teacher readiness to go, because their voice has been heard. They've talked to their constituencies. So that is a major adjustment that we've done, is rather than being a quote unquote top-down approach, it's more of, we want our instructional councils to decide the interest and work with their constituencies to let them know this is an opportunity for their school.
Thank you. I'm impressed. You got all 3 parts. Appreciate it. I have another question, but I will hold it until.
Okay, board member, that's it.
Thank you. So actually, two of my questions were actually already covered. So no, I appreciate it. It really says that we're thinking along the same lines. You know, and I always think that I'm coming from the teacher perspective, but I was happy to hear, you know, that their questions, you know, are aligned. So under strategy and planning actions of the progress monitoring report, there's a mention of a K-2 skills, habits of mindset, student voice tool. Please provide more information about this tool. What is it called? Who is the vendor? Has it been previously tested? Given that there's already seems to be a plan to pilot and implementation is in the works, how will families and teachers be notified and given time to ask questions and provide feedback? Specifically, how did the district arrive at implementing the K-2 skills, habits, and mindset student voice tool?
President Tomarito, Board Member Benson, Deputy Superintendent Dr. Gonzalez. So the K-2 tool is going to be piloted this spring. So there's nothing officially. This is what the strategy is looking at. This started actually last year when we were doing skills, habits, and mindsets, and having a conversation with the principal at our only K-2 elementary school in APS. They were saying, what do we have for our school for our K-2 students? And so working with them, really developing what the first work that came out of it was grade level benchmarks pre-K through 5th grade to support those. What we also heard from another school is that they went to a training with their counselors. It was a counselor administrator training, and they saw a vendor with that works with developmentally appropriate social emotional questions that are very user friendly for pre-K through 2nd grade. And so using that feedback from the school, talking with the school, hearing the feedback from the stakeholders at that elementary school, we decided to use that as an opportunity to pilot what this looks like. And so what we're looking at doing is piloting with 23 elementary schools. The K-2, they have what's called a pre and post assessment for kindergarten through 2nd grade, as well as weekly check-ins that schools can use and check in with their students. And the check-ins are basically students select a face, a smiley face, frown face. And so using the same philosophy learned from the culture of care is we are having instructional councils decide if they want to be a pilot or not for this opportunity. So they have an opportunity to review what this is, the dashboards, talk with their instructional council, and one of our guardrails to ensure that family voices are included is part of our guardrails is having a family member on instructional council. And so that's where we want the decision-making process to be, do we want to adopt into this as a way to support our K-2 students. So that's kind of like the background and where we're going with this as a pilot to see if this is something that we want to do in the future for our K-2 in these 23 pilot schools.
And about family and community involvement in this decision, are you guys planning on, you know, reaching out and talking to them and saying, hey, this is what we want to do, and what do you guys think of it?
President Tomarito, Board Member Benson, Deputy Superintendent Dr. Gonzalez. Yes, so that is the guidance is that, so through instructional council, those family members on that board should have a feedback loop with their families. Now, once we identify these 23 schools, we will then communicate to say your school has been this, and they will have the same opportunity as similar to our skills, habits, and mindsets to opt out if they don't want to participate in this as well. So there is an opt-out opportunity for our skills, habits, mindsets through 3rd through 12th, as well as we'll do the same opportunity for K-2.
And is that opportunity to opt out like easily found like on the website, or where do people go to look for this?
President Tomarito, Board Member Benson, Deputy Superintendent Dr. Gonzalez. So the opt-out for Panorama is on the website as well as goes through the schools. And so we want to make sure, and we remind schools that, you know, make sure that this goes to your families. Maybe Executive Director Chris West can kind of give me, I can't remember how many students opted out for the Panorama survey, but there is that opportunity, but we'll make sure that that is visible and communicated.
Can I ask one more question that's kind of along the same line? Yeah, thanks. So how does the district determine what specific decisions this survey will inform? Like, are they like saying, okay, the information I get from this survey, are you guys saying, we're gonna put more money into restorative practices or restorative approaches, counseling programs, resource allocation? Like what decisions are you guys making with the survey information that you get?
President Tomarito, Board Member Benz, Board Member President Tomarito, Board Member Benz, Deputy Superintendent Dr. Gonzalez. Are you referring to the pilot tool or our Schools Have No Mindset survey or?
I mean, I guess both. You know, I want to know, like, what are we doing with this survey information? I was actually pleasantly surprised because my first question really was, you know, you're getting all this information through a survey. And as a teacher and a test coordinator, former test coordinator, I know kids can go in and, you know, kids can go in and just mark whatever because they don't really want to take the survey. And so the fact that you had kids here today shows me that actually some teachers are observing, because you couldn't have gotten those kids that are here in the hall today without having some observations, without having some other tools that you're looking at, not just the survey. But I'm just wondering, what is this survey? I feel like we're making a lot of, well, maybe I'm not, maybe I'm wrong. Are we making a lot of decisions with this survey is what I want to know. You know, what are we making with the survey results?
Board President Tomarito, Board Member Benson, Deputy Superintendent Dr. Gonzalez. The quantitative and the qualitative student responses are informing the strategies. So when we look at those supplemental reports for the open responses as an example, those are where we're looking at the culture of care and students saying, help me learn how to do create a friend with the peer mediation. For example, the peer mediation strategy, we recently met last week with about 60 stakeholders that are part of that, building that program. And I had them read these open response one-pagers to inform the work that this is what our students are telling us. And let's look at this program that would help address these concerns, these statements for the students. So those student voices that were open responses are being generated for the strategies that we're doing. So we can make sure that we're aligned in addressing student voice.
Madam President, Member Betson, if I may, also just share to response to your question, as we embark and kind of move into budget season, as schools, instructional councils, and principals discern their priorities with their own individual school budgets, their budgets are submitted to the district for consideration aligned to the goals. So the goal that discretionary budgets, supply budgets, FTE decisions are all aligned to the goals in justification to how every school is using their funds to meet the goals in theory. And then discussed with their individual assistant superintendent for a level of scrutiny and eventually approved by the school board in relationship to the overall budget.
Thank you.
That sounds like a definite thank you. Go ahead, Board Member Benavides.
Thank you, President Tomarito, and thank you, presenters, for being here this evening and for delivering good news. We are always happy to see that our students are on track. And it was wonderful to see the students earlier, and that's always the best part of every meeting. So if they could be here every time, that would be fantastic. But my question is regarding the culture of care as well. And you did touch upon earlier, and it's based on student groups focused. And so you touched upon earlier that students with disabilities, you've noticed are making small improvements. And so my question is, which student groups are expected to experience the most significant impact from this implementation? And how will we monitor and address disparities in outcomes across schools?
Board President Tomarito, Board Member Benavides, Deputy Superintendent Dr. Gonzalez. Just as a side note for 4.2, we will have also student recognitions for secondary students. So just a shout out for that to get ready for that one. But I would say that with the culture of care, what we're looking at is being able to take it to the next level. So the goal is not necessarily within like Ariazia Martinez plus African American. But we also disaggregate that data and look at that as well to see where we can find students that may be increasing, decreasing, because we want to see both. We look at both of these data points, increases and decreases, and try to find the root causes for those. We want to increase district-wide what's happening that shows what's increasing. And we also want to look at and mitigate what students are finding with decreasing. So I think that's where we look at the data, the quantitative and the qualitative, to really see what that looks like. And you'll see in our 4.2 progress monitoring that there is an EL specific strategy because we saw some decreases in that area. And so also Executive Director Chris West also has some of the data that we look at as well to see. And we do find some decreases, but I would happy to say most of them are increases.
That's great news. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and go to Board Member Origia Bowman.
So thank you so much for your data and for your explanations. And I believe that I have technical and tactical questions. Board Member Betson and I submitted questions in advance. And so let me start with a brief comment, which is, I really appreciate this focus on getting data. And I'm kind of a data geek myself in my life and career. So I don't want you to feel like I'm being critical of you in any way. I just want a little bit more clarification, particularly for parents and community members who are watching this. So this is not necessarily critical. It's more, I guess, strategic, measure focus, results driven, and possibly could we do better? I don't know where that is on our chart. Okay, great. So I submitted these to Madam President Tomowarito in advance in a timely manner, as we are required to do. So first of all, I asked and I know you've seen this, but I'm just going to ask it for the public so it's on record. So I asked, what software do we use to track these characteristics? So I know you know that we know this, but talk about it anyway.
Board President Morito, Board Member
Bowman is fine.
Did you say Bowman? Oh, sorry. Thank you. And Deputy Superintendent Gonzalez. So we do contract with Panorama for our social emotional survey that we use. So that we've had that now since fall of 2023, 2024. So we are in our third year with them, and that's the tool that we use. So we do use their surveys. Those surveys are also used also by the New Mexico Public Education Department as well. So we have survey questions that are specifically designed to answer the 4 topic areas that we have, and there's also additional questions that are collected by the New Mexico Public Education Department.
Okay, so I have a series of kind of small questions related to this. So the first question I wanted to ask, and please, Madam President, please tell me to stop talking if this is not a smart or effective question, but I believe this is a reasonable question, and I know that we have, plans, we want to do our outcome-based governance for a certain number of years. How did we select and who was involved in selecting this Panorama software?
Board President Tomarito, Board Member, Dr. Bowman.
You can just summarize this to make it faster.
So that was, so when the goal was established, part of the goal was that we needed to have a research-based tool. And the tool the language that was used for the board goal was the language that was used inside of Panorama. So it was selected because that's the tool that was designed to measure the outcome that we were asked to measure by the board.
And who selected it?
The district selected it.
Who in the district? Like, how was it selected? Did people do bids? Was there an RFP? Like, what was the process for selecting this software?
President Tomorito, members of the board, Board Member Bowman, and Deputy Superintendent Gonzalez. I believe that question predates us at the table.
Okay,
May we get back to you
Yes,
on that?
that's fine.
And let you know exactly how that process.
yeah, that's great. Okay, so this may be a comment and not a question, and we may or may not be able to fix or improve this moving forward. I think we already heard from one of our colleagues that there's a bit of a concern about how exactly this data is being used and where it's being stored. So I'm just going to remind you of that. That question was previously asked. But so here's my concern. And Madam President, tell me to stop if this isn't reasonable. I am concerned as somebody who actually is extremely well trained in both qualitative and quantitative data collection, that we're doing a lot of this through a computer. And if it is possible, and it may not be possible, but if it is possible, and obviously you can get back to us on this, we're not going to probably be able to answer this right now. Is it possible that moving forward, we add more in-person collection strategies, such as in-person focus groups with children and teachers, and we should do those grade by grade, and obviously that's got to be a stratified sample. And is it possible for us to think about like the quantitative aspect of this, which I'm always sort of less than thrilled with. But I'm just asking, can we improve this and make it more analog and more human-based and less computer-based? And can we have other sets of data to complement this panorama? And if it isn't clear, I'm not totally sold on why we're using panorama. And that is all I've got.
Madam President, members of the board, Deputy Superintendent Gonzalez, I wrote down the question in detail. We will get back to the board through our superintendent on the answer. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Board Member Bowman. And I will go ahead and present, and then we'll go ahead and I'll extend it out to additional questions to the board. My question comes from the, I think it's page, hold on. We're talking about the special education and the kids with disabilities and the 97 children that were surveyed. And they were with severe cognitive disabilities. My question is, how does the alternative pathway for special education modified survey authentically capture the voice of students with the diverse disabilities, but also within the severe cognitive category, including the verbal and nonverbal? And how will districts ensure equitable, legally compliant participation methods so that all 97 voices meaningfully inform program design and outcomes? I think that was a little bit more of how are we going to take this survey and use it to implement meaningful, informed program design and outcomes. The other portion of that is based on the severe cognitive disabilities. We're looking not only at how we implement, but my concern is when we talk about severe, we're looking at those variances of intellectual disability, specific learning disabilities, developmental delay, and some of the challenges that would be presented. But I just want to make sure that when we loop all of these children together, there's such variance of how you're going to capture this survey, whether it's one-on-one. I know computer's not the sole area of trying to capture this. So if you could just give me an example or how you proceeded to grab the data from these 97 students for the survey? Because also we didn't see any responses from those students.
Board Member President, Tomarito, Deputy Superintendent Dr. Gonzalez. This strategy has grown since last year. I don't know if you remember, the progress monitoring of last year was a pilot that was given to students because what we focus on is a high response rate. We want to ensure all voices are captured and have the opportunity to be captured. In the spring, we selected some of the schools that have district programs with students with severe cognitive disabilities. We provided a modified survey. We surveyed the teachers, and we figured out what were some of the challenges, what were some of the benefits. We also let the families know that this is what was happening. To that work from last year now enabled the work that we're doing now this year. This year, rather than just pilots, we gave the opportunity to all students who are on alternative pathway, working with our special education department and looking at survey questions that are developmentally appropriate and cognitively appropriate for the students, and having the team review those. And I believe that the special education district resource teacher also had some opportunities to look at those survey results and share them. The questions. We were able to have 97 students in elementary, but overall we had over 400 students take the alternative pathway survey. So you'll see in secondary, most of the kids that took it is in secondary. So what we also now are doing is in the platform that we use with Panorama, those specific survey questions are uniquely identified, so it doesn't merge into the data of the survey that is not for the alternative pathway. And the reason we do that is so that we can truly look at the district programs, the opportunities that the kiddos have, and being able to use this year as a baseline of the data that we want to see and use. So that's how we're using the data to involve the strategies. And what's nice about the data that we can see is compare the data with other schools that have district programs. And we want to, so we're seeing some of the schools that have high responses of students and students that have low responses. We still all had some challenges with the fall implementation of the fall survey with being able to capture those open responses. And I think that's the next move for our ability with this opportunity is how do we capture the open responses, which that's why there's not any open responses, because I wanted to gather that authentic voice that took this alternative survey. So we're trying to figure out how we can do that with nonverbal and working with our special education department and the families and the teachers. And so that's kind of the idea of we as a district moved to a 91% response rate, which is the highest that we've gotten to, with over 400 kids taking this alternative survey. We look to increase that in the future, as well as look at our implementation for this survey and use that result as baseline for future strategies that provide a better learning experience for our students that have severe cognitive disabilities.
Just another question to that is, as mentioned before, will you do the one-on-one, the verbal communication, and also, putting into factor their IEPs and the way they communicate? Because I think oftentimes we forget about that. We just expect kids to take that survey, do what you need to, without recognizing that an IEP has a direct way that a student communicates. And if we're going to include that and follow it, it would be very beneficial for those students to be able to communicate in their means of communication. I just hope that we're considering that and not just thinking that we need a survey. So we hope that we put them before a computer and say, take it. I just, yes, and I'm thankful you're looking at that variance in this in these students. So I hope next time we get to see the comments and reports of what what initially has been given, and that you're getting the feedback you need. But I do thank you for considering our kids with disabilities, especially those with the severe cognitive disabilities, that they have a voice within this survey. Thank you for that. Now yes, and we'll go ahead and now extend to the board additional questions, and we'll start with Ulrike Bowman.
So just following up on Madam President Tomowarito's comment, I just want to say, and I know that all of you know this, I'm just putting this on the record for the public. It's very important how we ask questions. Based on the way you ask a question, whether it's a survey question, and I hope we're using a 5-point scale, or I need to know what scale we're using, or an so-called open-ended question, the way we ask the question can really have an impact on the answer. And following up on Madam President's point, that may be even more true for students with disabilities. So I'm just expressing, like, moving forward, any information you can give us about, like, what are the questions we're asking? How are we asking them? Can we adjust that? That would be very helpful for me.
Thank you. Is there any other? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Heather.
Okay, so my question, thank you, President Tomarito. My question is about our next progress monitoring for the students 6th through 12th grade, but I thought I'd bring it up now just as food for thought. So the limited clear backpack implementation for some of our schools, are we concerned at all that this might have an impact on the feelings of self-efficacy or social awareness on the parts of the students who are forced to use these at this time? And I know it's a small sample size at this point, but have we given any thought to how that's going to impact the survey results in the future? And if it does, will this be taken into consideration when we decide whether this is going to be expanded to other schools?
Madam President, members of the board, Deputy Superintendent Gonzalez, we've considered that we're not positive yet. We're going to look at the data to segregate it, see if in fact it tells us anything, and then we'll make an adjustment. We'll make the adjustments needed in the future. Thank you.
Board Member Stork, did you have a question or?
No, mine was answered.
Okay.
Great. So I'm gonna go back to the data discussion that we had. And I have a question kind of to triangulate things. So when we're looking at the survey results, are we also looking at other indicators like discipline data, attendance, classroom behaviors, and what does that look like from the survey if you have that?
President Tomarito, Board Member Astorga, Deputy Superintendent Dr. Gonzalez. So yes, we look at multiple indicators, and in fact, we've actually, we have student success systems, and part of the student success systems is looking holistically at a child. The philosophy that we use is a data point gives you an idea of a student. Multiple data points gives you a story of that student. So we have our student success systems looking at attendance, behavior, coursework, as well as skills, habits, and mindsets to provide a holistic view of that.
Did you want to say something, Dr. Malloy? Okay. Just a quick follow-up. So is there specific data that shows a school that has high survey results that are positive? Do they have higher attendance? Do they have less discipline? Is that correlation being gathered?
Board President Tomarito, Board Member Astorga, Deputy Superintendent Dr. Gonzalez, we can look into that if that's something that you wanted to see is attendance versus certain aspects of goal 4, because it would be curious to see if you want all 4 or if self-regulation is one of them that you're going to look at.
Yeah, I think would just be interesting because that would show that the survey results are being proven, right? Students are feeling better about themselves and the self-efficacy, so they're showing up to school more, or discipline is down because now they understand their identity more. So I would like to see how that would correlate, and it would show a little bit of progress from my understanding. Would be great.
And just real quick comment, President Tomarito, Member Mastorga, Deputy Superintendent Dr. Gonzalez, you'll see one of the strategies in the secondary progress monitoring where we actually see increases due to skills, habits, and mindsets with one of the strategies that we have with sixth graders.
Awesome. Thank you.
More to come. Any other questions? Board Member?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. We're still trying to understand type of questions and all of that, but I mentioned earlier, we're seeing results. I'm seeing it personally with my student or my child. But what specific strategies or what are teachers doing within curriculum or within the school day, to help with these specific areas? How much time is a teacher appropriating to, this goal? And is that in my purview to ask, I guess?
Yeah, yes, you are.
Board President Tomarito, Board Member Martinez, Deputy Superintendent Dr. Gonzalez. That is what we're looking at, is looking at academic outcomes as well as student skills, habits, and mindsets outcomes, and how do they complement each other. You'll see in the progress monitoring for secondary that there is a mathematics and self-efficacy effort to really look at how do we utilize the feedback for self-efficacy in mathematics. So that's something that we can get into a little bit more detail with that specific strategy for secondary students. But yes, that is something we're looking at.
So again, just kind of a follow-up. So, taking an example of, conflict management, conflict resolution, is there something that the teachers are helping with or instructing during the day to help these students with these specific strategy or issues or these specific areas?
President Tomarito, Board Member Martinez, Deputy Superintendent Dr. Gonzalez. We see a lot of that in the culture of care when teachers have the high quality professional development of specific strategies to use. For example, circles. We've seen teachers utilize circles for community building, circles for classroom norms, as well as circles for classroom content to be able to have students have voice. And so those are some of the strategies that we're seeing as teachers continue to get the high quality professional development.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
You are welcome. Is there any additional questions by the board?
I have questions.
Okay, go ahead,
Sorry.
Rebecca.
Sorry.
Board Member Benson.
I mean, so I specifically reached out to my granddaughter's school and talked to my granddaughter. And it sounds like at her school, they're using 20 minutes a day to teach these words. And I mean, like you look at these kids and I'm thinking, okay, they're learning that they're learning what they mean, but it also could be teaching to the test if you look at it a different way. But I'm asking, is this happening across the board? Like, is it 20 minutes? Like you're, and I'm sorry, you're going to have to, culture of care. You're going to have to explain to me, what is that? And is it happening across the board? Like, are we at all these schools that are giving the panorama, are they all teaching 20 minutes a day on this vocabulary? Is that what's happening? Or is every school choosing to do it the way they want to do it?
President Tomarito, Board Member Benson, Deputy Superintendent Dr. Gonzalez. So we have our schools that utilize the instructional councils to figure out how they want to utilize their time. We do have, ideally, we would want these skills, habits, and mindsets throughout the day of how do we build self-regulation in mathematics, in science, and during recess. That's what we say with elementary. With elementary, recess is the real world and how they apply the skills, habits, and mindsets that they're learning, building relationships with students, having self-regulation, perseverance during. So those are what we're looking for. How schools do that is through their instructional councils. That's why we look at the data. Those schools that have high high favorable responses, we want to see what's going on and replicate that.
Okay, so they might be doing like a 20-minute lesson on, you know, I'm gonna say character counts, but whatever. And then they also are taking those words and throughout the day intertwining them and everything else that they're doing to make them part of the culture, is what I'm hearing. Okay. The other question that I have is really about, it's going back to open forum. There was a gentleman that spoke about, you know, AI and storing data, or, you know, storing our kids. And I'm really wondering, you know, what kind of data is being collected? How long is it being stored? Can you provide the vendor contract that describes data ownership, use, and privacy? Because, I mean, obviously, this is not just, this is becoming a bigger and bigger thing that we all need to be thinking about.
Board President Tomarito, Board Member Thompson, Deputy Superintendent Gonzalez. Every contract that we have with any vendor does have a data use section to it. And every one of those contracts is reviewed by our procurement office, as well, when necessary, by our legal counsel. So every one of those platforms has that. That goes from our student information system to any assessment that we give, any curriculum that we use. All of our systems are collecting data. That's part of that agreement. And there are very strict rules in there, what they can do and what they can't do. It's the same way we have with any of the research that goes on in our schools. And we definitely have all those materials and they can all be made available.
Okay, awesome. And I had one more question, but it slipped my mind, so I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, since we have no more questions at this moment, we're gonna go ahead and confirm that our monitoring report is complete. In assessing whether it's complete, we review 4 elements: the goal, the data, the interpretation, and the evidence and plan. That review includes asking questions such as, does the report show the specific goal being monitored? Does it clearly show data for the previous 3 reporting periods? Does it clearly show the superintendent's understanding of system performance relative to the goals? And does it clearly show supporting documentation that shows evidence of a strategic response if the goal is on track, or root cause analysis if it's not on track? And right now, if you believe that all criteria for an effective report has been met, but I'm still going to open up the floor for discussion for anyone else who thinks we may be missing one of the elements. Does anyone have evidence that suggests otherwise here on our board?
Okay. It would help me to just go over those elements one more time.
Okay.
I don't have my screen in front of me.
Okay, so the first one is, does the report show the specific
Goal being monitored, yes.
Okay. Does it clearly show the data for the previous 3 reporting periods?
Okay.
Okay, and does it clearly show the superintendent's understanding of system performance relative to the goals?
Okay.
Okay, and the last one, does it clearly show, evidence? I'm reading this to the
Okay,
side.
sorry.
It's okay. Does it clearly show supporting documentation that shows evidence of a strategic response if the goal is on track, or root cause analysis?
Okay.
Okay. Pause, speak up. Anybody? We're good? All right. So there's, okay, so right now we are going to go ahead and have the opportunity to ask questions as part of conversation. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and where is our little piece here? Okay, we're going to go ahead and entertain. Is that the one? In order to accept, we must have, we did answer yes. And if answered all yes, then the board can accept the monitoring report. Confident that the data is accurate and the superintendent is performing. So at this point, I believe we're ready to entertain a motion.
We need to
Did we?
answer yes to the following three questions. Does the
Oh.
reality of work-
I just saw everybody shake their head when I did the 3 questions. That's why I was like moving forward. Okay, so
test and then we-
one more. Okay, we're gonna do it again. Does the reality of this report meet our vision of the goal?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Is there growth toward the vision?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Is there a strategy and a plan sufficient to cause growth toward the vision?
Yes.
Okay, so if we answer yes to all 3, then the board can accept the monitoring report, confident that the data is accurate and the superintendent is performing. So at this point, I believe we are ready to entertain.
Because we already made the motion.
Oh, we did. So we're going to call for the vote.
Board Member Martinez,
Yes.
Board Member Astorga,
Yes.
Board Member Jackson.
Yes.
Board Member Betson,
Yes.
Board Member Benavides.
Yes.
Board Member Bowman. Board Member Tomorito.
Yes. So the motion carries. So thank you, everyone, for your time and for taking the time to just let us know and speak to us regarding this particular progress monitoring. So let's go ahead and move on to action item number 7. At this time, we're going to consider establishing additional standing board committees. So during this time, we want to discuss the establishment of any additional standing board committees. Standing board committees are typically established to streamline ongoing board work in the areas like finance, and we did that last time we were together. The committee's recommendations are passed to the full board for final approval on a consent calendar. New Mexico statutes require the Board of Education having a standing finance and audit committee. We established both of those committees at our January 7th, 2026 meeting. So tonight we will be, So tonight we will be looking at, is this the right page? Okay. I lost it.
Right at the top.
Okay. So we want to ask for a motion and a second?
That's correct, in order to have the discussion.
Oh, okay. So we'll ask for a motion and a second for opening the gate to the standing committee.
So I make a motion to consider establishing additional standard board committees. And this board member Betson.
I will second Board Member Astorga.
Okay, Board Member Benson motioned, and we had a second from Board Member Astorga, who seconded. And I want to ask if there's any discussion on establishing an additional standing committee or committees.
President, do you think it would be useful to provide the background information on the different committees before we?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want me to do that?
Yes, go ahead. I'll let the secretary
So-
better read this.
Okay, quick background. Governance Manual item 4I.2 provides an opportunity for the president to establish ad hoc committees and task forces as needed throughout the year. The board president or a majority of the board may appoint additional committees outside of the purview of committee chairs, including ad hoc committees made up of board members to perform specific tasks to solve a problem with the expectation that the group will disband when the objective has been completed or the deadline has been reached. Task forces made up of board members and or community members brought together to accomplish a specific objective with the expectation that the group will disband when the objective has been completed or the deadline has been reached. Each committee or task force will have a chair who is responsible for providing regular updates on progress. Committees that fail to deliver their deliverables to the full board by the due date will be disbanded, and the board president may create a new committee to accomplish the deliverable. The new committee may include the previous chair as a member.
So we'll go ahead and open this up for discussion. Go ahead, Board Member Astorga.
I just want to just say that I am wanting to discuss policy as well as community engagement, just because I feel like I want to finish work that was done on policy committee that we started, which is really great. But also there's a call from community that we focus on community engagement. And although that was an ad hoc last time, I would love to see that as a standing committee. But I'll let others.
Okay. Any more discussion? Does anybody? Go ahead, Board Member Jackson.
Thank you, Madam President. So I will respond to that in two parts if it's okay. The first is in response to a policy committee. The argument that I'm going to make is against establishment of a policy as a separate standing committee. The reason being is that the work of policy development, amendment, editing is a full board role. It is not a committee role. And we as a full board have the opportunity to discuss policies, whether or not we want to establish a policy through the use of the board agenda. If then the full board decides that a policy needs to move forward, there is the ad hoc committee ability that was just described from the governance manual, in which a small committee of the board can then do the work of developing a policy, then bring it back to the board. And what that does is it creates consensus among the board first that a policy needs to be implemented or adjusted or edited or whatever. It creates that consensus first before a policy is created. It also keeps us very firmly within our role of creating policies that are governance first, instead of moving us into more operational issues. So I think that there is a more collaborative way to work on policy, and that is through having items added to a board agenda first, have full board discussion, then move it to an ad hoc. Then it would come back to the full board for approval. But I just think that's a more collaborative approach to policy making. So that's my first comment on that. And then as far as the community engagement committee is concerned, I completely agree. The work of the community engagement committee has been an ad hoc committee for 2 years, but that ad hoc committee has met every single month. And really there is an argument that can be made and should be made that the work of the board is community engagement. It is going out and having those two-way conversations. And I think if there was a standing committee that was focused, not to say that the ad hoc committee wasn't focused on that, because we absolutely were, but to have it in policy or, for at least for this year as a standing committee, I think gives it weight. And it gives it the ability to really focus in on what that two-way communication is. So I'm not, I guess I am in favor of a community engagement standing committee. I think that there's a better way for us to do policy, and that is through the full board, not as a standing committee. I would also say that if we look at the way that policy is done in other, with other boards, like if you look at city council or you look at the county commission, they do this, they all do it this way, where the full board, the full commission decides that a policy needs to be made, and then it goes to an ad hoc, and then it comes back. So I think it's just best practices to do that. We haven't been doing that as APS, which is partially part of the reason that the policy as a standing committee was removed from the governance manual, due to the fact that it is a full board issue, not a committee issue.
Any other discussions? Ricky, you want to say? Okay.
I support the idea of Board Member Astorga that we have a standing committee for community engagement, is that right? And I support the idea of Board Member Jackson that we have because that's our job, school board make policy. I think that's actually our explicit job.
To be chair for policy committee, I was gonna put my name out there, but this also makes sense. It does, so I agree.
And I support community engagement as well.
Standing committee.
Yeah, standing committee.
I agree with the consensus.
Board Member Martinez?
Yes, agree with you, ladies. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we amend the,
Need to amend the motion
okay,
to reflect the addition of community engagement as a standing committee.
so let me see, repeat it. Let's see where those are.
Oh, I have to amend it.
Yeah.
I can amend the motion. All right. So I amend the motion to, I'm sorry. I don't know the vocabulary I'm using. To create a standing committee for community engagement.
And I will,
Storga, do you?
Oh, sorry, yes, I second.
Thank you. And so we'll repeat, Board Member Betson made the motion to create a standing board committee for community engagement. And a Board Member Astorga second that motion. All right, so do we go ahead and take a vote?
Board Member Martinez,
Yes.
Board Member Astorga,
Yes.
Board Member Jackson.
Yes.
Board Member Betson,
Yes.
Board Member Benavides.
Yes.
Board Member Bowman,
Yes.
Board Member Tomorito.
Yes. So so now we'll go ahead and go on to 7.2. So election of our 2026 Board of Education for our additional standing committee chair. So currently on the table, we do have our community engagement as our new standing committee. So now I'm gonna look for someone to chair that committee, and I'm gonna look for nominations. Is that correct? Okay.
I nominate Board Member Astorga to chair the Community Engagement Committee.
I was gonna nominate Board Member Jackson, but that I will accept that nomination.
I second that.
Thank you.
Member Martinez?
Martinez, and anyone else have any other nominations? No? Okay, so we have a nomination on the table, and our board member, Janelle Astorga, is nominated for chair on our standing, our community engagement standing committee. So that if there are no further nominations for this chair, we will accept it and close it. And so the nominations for our standing chair committee for community engagement is as follows, and that's Janelle Astorga, board member Janelle Astorga. We will now take the vote. Please vote for these nominees. Since there's just one, we'll go ahead and put that up for the vote, Dr. Albright.
So just to clarify, you are voting for Board Member Astorga to be the chair. You don't need to say her name. You can just say yes or no. Board Member Martinez,
Yes.
Board Member Astorga,
Yes.
Board Member Jackson.
Yes.
Board Member Betson.
Yes.
Board Member Benavides.
yes.
Board Member Bowman,
Yes.
Board Member Tomorito.
Yes. So the Albuquerque School Board of Education has elected Board Member Janelle Astorga as our Community Engagement Committee Chair. Do you have a specific day of the month and time of day you would like the committee to meet? This is all brand new. Because
I know, I was like, we pulled the calendar. What time is audit again? Is that on Tuesdays?
Yes.
Tuesdays at the fourth Tuesday at 5 o'clock, 5:30.
Okay, can we do the third Tuesday? of every month at 5:30? Or is that too late for folks? It's good. It's good. Okay.
Okay, so, hold on. So do we repeat and, we will have the standing committee for community engagement the third Tuesday at 5:30. Okay. And there's no more additional committees. Go ahead.
Madam President,
Yes.
before we move on, can we ask for which members would like to also sit on the Community Engagement Committee?
No, remember Astorga is doing this all alone. It'd be the first time. No, I'm kidding. Okay, is there any current member of our board who is sitting right here and also Board Member Martinez who would like to serve on this committee? Board Member Jackson?
I would like to serve.
Board Member Betson? Did you raise your hand, Josh?
I think you did.
Board Member Martinez, did you raise your hand?
Yes, sure.
Okay. I thought I saw it on the side of my eye there. Okay, anyone else? All right. We got our first Community Engagement Standing Committee. All right, guys, we're moving along here. Thank you. Anything else? Is everybody good to go? All right. So next on our item here, 7.3, we're going to consider approval of the 2026-27 Open Meetings Act resolution. Our presenter will be our Board of Education Service Office, and we have Christy Albright here to give us the presentation.
Compliance with the New Mexico Open Meetings Act. The resolution incorporates changes in officers, chairs, and the schedule of meetings, including dates, times, and locations. And the support document, Exhibit A, was in your packets, and what we will add to it is the standing committee you just voted to have, including the new date and time of the third Tuesday at 5:30 for that. The meeting schedule and agendas will be posted on Diligent, and the information will also be available on aps.edu. And I respectfully request your approval of the 2026-2027 APS Open Meetings Act resolution.
Okay, so I just throw this out for a motion and a second.
I move to approve the 2026-2027 Open Meetings Act resolution. This is Member Jackson.
I will second Board Member Astorga.
Okay, Board Member Jackson made the motion, and it was seconded by Board Member Astorga as a second. So any discussion? Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and call for the vote. Yes. No.
Board Member Martinez, do you agree to the motion?
Yes.
Board Member Astorga?
Yes.
Board Member Jackson?
Yes.
Board Member Betson?
Yes.
Board Member Benavides?
Yes.
Board Member Bowman?
Yes.
Board Member Tomorito?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and the motion carried. So let's go ahead and move on to 7.4. Consider approval of revisions to the board policy KC charter schools. We're gonna go ahead and ask for a motion and a second, and then we'll go ahead and have discussion.
I move we approve the revisions to Board Policy KC Charter Schools. This is Member Jackson. I will second Board Member Benavides.
Okay, Board Member Jackson motioned, and we have a second by Board Member Benavides. I will now pass the floor to Ms. Martinez.
Thank you, Madam President, and good evening, members of the board and Dr. Gonzalez. Tonight, you're considering approval of revisions to Board Policy KC Charter Schools. I'll provide you with some background on that policy. In September, the Board of Education authorized the Policy Committee to review Board Policy KC Charter Schools, and the policy was brought for a first read by the Policy Committee in October with a second read on December 1st. During this review, the committee discussed whether the following revisions were needed. adding language to show that the policy follows the New Mexico Charter Schools Act, annual reviews of charters that are open to the public and include clear evaluation criteria, creating a clear process for applying, submitting, reviewing, and approving charters, including input from the superintendent and regular updates to the board, continuous oversight by the superintendent. Because these processes described above are already part of the administrative procedure for charter schools, the committee decided to hand this work over to the administration to ensure that the proposed language is included in the administrative procedure. Since there are no changes to the policy language as of December 1st, only administrative updates to legal references and administrative roles, it was suggested that the policy be placed on the full board's consent agenda in alignment with Section 3B4 of the Board of Education's Governance Manual. Those updates are what are before you this evening. And with that, Madam President, I stand for questions.
Any questions? No. No. Board Member Martinez, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Okay, and
Madam President, just a quick comment. Thank you for being here and for being patient and explaining this to us this evening.
yes, thank you. I'm the one that pulled it off consent because I only want to make sure that new board members knew exactly what was going on. And because it was a previous before they were here. But thank you for doing that and for the staff taking the time to do that. So we don't have any amended motions, just to change over on the directors and the administration.
A change to administration and a couple of additions under statutory. And
Okay.
Those additions, to clarify, were added based on the discussion that were happening within the policy committee.
So we don't really have to amend this. We just need to call for the vote. Okay. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll call for the vote.
Board Member Martinez,
Yes.
Member Astorga, Board Member Jackson.
Yes.
Member Betson,
Yes.
Member Benavides.
Yes.
Member Bowman,
Yes.
Member Tomorito.
Yes. The motion carries. Thank you so much. Okay, so I always have to remember, let's think, turn it this way. So let's go ahead and move on to our next item, which is 7.5. We're going to consider approval of a grant budget adjustment for 7 funds. Presenter, Renette Apodaca, Chief Financial Officer, and Mahalia Marin, Senior Director of Grant Management.
Madam President, board members, Deputy Superintendent, we come to you for approval of grant budget adjustments according to the New Mexico Public Schools Accounting and Supplement 1. Any budget adjustments require approval. In your packet, you have the agenda item, also a listing of the items for adjustments, the grants for adjustments, and then budget adjustment requests. And Ms. Marin, if you have any additional information.
Thank you so much. Madam President, board members, Deputy Superintendent Dr. Gonzalez, presenting for your consideration of approval the grant management budget adjustments for the month of January 2026. This is a recurring item for grants management. It represents the overall increases and decreases to grant funding, and they are based on documented data like new award being received, or carryover being calculated and verified with the grantor, or a intergovernmental agreement in place. We have 7 items tonight. We have for the new board format to provide additional details. We have the GOV Public School Library, which is state funding supporting the school library materials. Then we have the school buses, which is state funding additional to purchase buses for our school district. And then we have the additional allocations supporting our CSI schools. The 2KNW, it is legislative funding supporting our radio station due to federal constraints. We have the second year for the Albuquerque Public School International High School private funding, which is funded through New Schools, a non-for-profit. And then legislative appropriation correction in the overall budget based on revision of the reauthorized intergovernmental agreements that are part of your packet. I hope I didn't go extremely in detail, but other than that, I did not see anything out of the ordinary. These are regular items, and I stand for questions.
Any questions? Go ahead.
Not a question, but a comment.
Sure.
And this is also like a little push, but I'm hoping next time this comes around, we get an adjustment to add a school bus at a bus stop at Isleta Pueblo for some of our students. So taking that on, but thank you for your work.
Any other questions?
Yes, Madam
Board Member
President.
Martinez. Yes.
I don't know if I cut off or not, but the last item, the radio station rural service grant, is that for the tower in Espanola?
Madam President, members of the board, Deputy Superintendent Dr. Gonzalez, I am not certain if that is specifically for the identified purchase, but I will follow up with our KNW team and make sure to provide you an answer for that question.
Thank you.
This is just a question. Could you go into a little bit more detail about the CSI, MRI, and ATSI for the new and incoming board members so they have a little brief understanding of what those terms are?
Madam President, I will defer this question to Dr. Blair.
Evening, Madam President Tomarito, board members, superintendent, deputy superintendent, Dr. Gonzalez. MRI is more rigorous instruction needed and CSI is comprehensive support needed. What that means is there are schools designated by the New Mexico Public Education Department that are the lowest performing schools in the state among Title I designated schools. So this funding is an additional amount of money for schools who have opted to choose the Navigate program. The Navigate program is professional development provided by the PED, ongoing throughout the year to work with schools in need of transformation. So this money is in part designated for FTE or full-time employees, our transformational teaching and learning coaches at these schools to provide their part of their salary.
Could you please give new and incoming board members where they can find the locations of those schools?
That is on our APS website. We can also submit those schools directly to you. This does include Albuquerque Public Schools charter and traditional.
Okay. Any other questions? No. Sorry, I messed up. I was supposed to take a motion and vote per our Robert Rules of Order. So I'm going to go ahead and get a motion and a second. Can I go ahead?
I motion that we consider approval of grant budget adjustments for 7 funds, listed 1 through 7 on the agenda. This is Board Member Benavides.
I second it. This is Board Member Betson.
Okay, we have Board Member Benavides who went ahead and made the motion, and we have a second by Board Member Benson. Let's go ahead and ask for a roll call vote.
Board Member Martinez?
Yes.
Board Member Astorga?
Yes.
Board Member Jackson?
Yes.
Board Member Betson?
Yes.
Board Member Benavides?
Yes.
Board Member Bowman?
Yes.
Board Member Tomorito?
Yes. And the motion carries. Thank you for helping us clarify. Let's go ahead and move on to item 8. So we have some discussion items. So right now we want to choose our board members to serve on boards. And did you give us a list of those? Dr. Albright? Oh, sorry. There they are. So in your packet, so I'm pretty sure everybody got it, okay? The materials, did you get board member Martinez? Do you know a little bit about the boards that we're looking at?
Yes, I have
Okay.
those. Thank you.
Okay, just want to make sure that, so this is an opportunity, because you have a list before you, to express your interests. And as president, I sit on the APS Education Foundation Board and the Greater Albuquerque Chamber of Commerce. But I'm going to leave open the Council of Great City School to whoever may want to sit on there. And I will open that to somebody else. And as I call on you, please share which external, internal groups you are most interested in serving on. You're going to start, or you want me to come back to you? You ready? Okay, we'll go to board member, Regia Bowman.
Thank you, Madam President. In terms of internal organizations, I am interested in the Community Capital Advisory Commission.
Is it in there?
It's in the agenda. It's not listed.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay, we'll write you on.
And in terms of external organizations, there are a lot of really interesting external organizations, so it's hard to choose. But I think I'm interested in the Mid-Region Council of Government.
Okay. Oh, there you are. Okay. Gotcha. Okay, go ahead, board member Benavides.
Thank you, President Tomarito. I would like to continue serving on the Local Government Coordinating Commission. I have been on this commission for 2 years, and I feel that APS has been very successful in bringing resources to the district, and so I would like to continue that work if possible. Thank you.
Okay. Any external? Are you okay?
That's actually an external.
Oh,
and
okay. Oh, it is.
Mhm.
Here, I can't find- Oh, there it is. Okay.
Let me get back to you on the internal.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Board member Hudson.
For internal, I would be willing to serve on the School Health Advisory Council. And external, the Local Government Coordinating Commission.
Okay. All right. Is that it? You want more?
I think I've done it.
Okay. Board member Jackson.
Thank you. Yes, I would be interested in serving on the Community Capital Advisory Commission as well.
Okay.
I want to put in a plug. It is not actually a committee, but I do want to put in a plug for board members to attend Economic Forum. You get to go to the Albuquerque Museum. So I just want to put in a plug for that. And I will relinquish my position on the Local Government Coordinating Commission. I've served there for 2 years as well, and am happy to pass that on to somebody else who is interested. And I will also be happy to continue those service as the Council of Great City Schools board representative.
Okay. Great. Board member Storga.
Thank you, President Tomorito. I would love to continue serving on the Community Schools Partnership as well as the MERCOG, Mid-Region Council of Government.
Okay.
And I'm fine being the alternate as well on that one.
On which one again?
On MERCOG, because there's one member and then there's an alternate, so I'm fine being the alternate.
Is this it right here?
Yes.
All right. And what was the first one you said?
Community Schools.
Oh, here it is. The capital.
The Albuquerque Bernalillo County.
It's right above economic.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Board Member Martinez.
Yes,
Granted,
thank you. Yeah, I would also like to serve on the school health advisory council. Being that is my profession and deal with a lot of those issues. Would also have interest in the local government coordinating commission.
Okay.
And I do see the National Association of Latino Elected and Appointed Officials.
Yes.
Be happy to be a part of that as well.
Okay. Okay. Now, I said I am on what now?
The APS Education
Okay,
Foundation.
the APS, yes. Okay, I got those two. I want to continue just serving on the New Mexico School Board Association. I will do that, and I think I will continue to help with anything on the Indian Policies and Procedures monthly meeting. And who goes to the Superintendent Student Advisory Council? Do you?
We can all choose
Choose to go? Okay, okay. And, all right. The Greater Albuquerque Chamber of Commerce? That's me, okay. Oh, yeah, it is me. Okay, got it.
So many.
I know, I'm like, ooh, I am gonna be busy. All right, I think we have it all. That's great, guys. Thank you so much for all your service and all the work we are about to do. Go ahead.
President Tomarito,
Yes.
the Local Government Coordinating Commission is just 2 members, and there are, I believe, are 3 people who expressed it, or maybe just 2 of us did. But are we to assume that? Okay, so there are 3 people who expressed interest. So you're going to have to make the choice there on who will serve on that.
Member Benavides, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Christy, I believe the 3 members can be a part of it, but only 2 members can vote.
I don't.
Which 2 members were interested? I can jump off.
It was Heather, Benavides, and Betson. But it can all 3 be on if they?
That's fine. I'd be happy to remove myself. I didn't hear Member Betson. I'm sorry.
If you would like to serve as an alternate on MERCOG, which is the Mid-Region Council of Government, I was that last year. I'm happy to give.
I'm okay. Yeah, I think I overexerted myself. There's
Let's check into that and then we'll get right back to you, okay? And then we'll find out if 3 can and we only need 2 voting members. But
and
if
I'm
you,
totally fine with the school health council and the Latino National Latino group.
you're okay with that?
Yes, please.
Okay, all right, we'll go ahead and go ahead.
Can I just clarify that NALEO is not a position?
Oh,
for
it's not,
board
oh,
members? It's simply
Oh,
an opportunity for you to be a member if you would like to.
yes, I would like to be.
okay.
That's not a regular meeting that you would need to attend. Board Member Martinez.
Okay, that's fine. I think I'm okay with what so do I need an external?
No. Board members don't have to have an external and or internal or any for that matter.
Okay, I'm good then with the health council.
I know, I just sort of pushed it out there to see what kind of response I would get.
I
Sorry.
forgot I had 3 kids. Yeah, getting too excited.
Consider. So we'll go ahead and take off your name, Board Member Martinez, off
Sure.
of the Local Government Coordinating Commission. Okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
So
Board Member
we do now have 2. Thank you so much for solving that. All right.
I'm sorry, Madam President, can I,
Yes.
so the Community Capital Advisory Commission, I think there were 2 of us.
Okay.
So and it says 1 board member serves on the commission, but I don't know if we could do that on, maybe if there's 2 of us, then we do it on a rotating basis.
Which one again was it?
The CCAC, Community Capital Advisory Commission.
And if we don't have to do it, I will roll off. Because I can do the external board, but
Oh.
I don't really want to be on this many things because I'm doing finance.
Okay,
It's gonna kill me.
yeah, then I'm happy to serve on CCAC and
Okay.
then, okay.
Did you get that?
I did.
Okay. Okay.
And I believe in dividing and conquering. So if Board Member Martinez is good with going to the School Health Advisory Council, I'll let him do that. And I don't need to, I can remove my name from that.
Okay.
Sure.
I love the trust.
I know, look at us.
Board President Tomorito, would you like me to repeat what?
Yes.
Okay. I have Board Member Astorga serving on the Albuquerque Bernalillo County Community Schools Partnership. I have Board Member Benavides and Betson serving on the Local Government Coordinating Commission. Board Member Jackson serving on the Council of Great City Schools Board of Directors. Board Member Tomorito on the New Mexico School Boards Association. Board Member Bowman, and then Astorga as the alternate for Mid-Region Council of Government. Board Member Jackson on the Community Capital Advisory Commission. Board President Tomorito as on the Indian Policy and Procedure Meeting. And Board Member Martinez on the School Health Advisory Council.
That's it?
And everyone going to Economic Forum.
Yes.
Sorry.
But we're going to Davos, right?
Davos.
We'll find the money. to get
Sorry.
We will. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
One more clarification, I'm so
Sure.
sorry. For community schools, it says 2 board members. Do we need 2 board members? We only have 1 right now.
2 board members represent the Board of Education.
Clarify
Board Member Astorga, Board members and Deputy Superintendent Gonzalez, I'll need to ask about that. I believe we do, but I'll find out for sure.
Okay, thank you.
How often do they meet? You know,
Should say
Monthly.
monthly. It's really fun. You get to tour schools and talk to community school coordinators.
I'll put my name in for that one.
hey, thank you.
Gluttony for punishment.
Okay. Okay, we got our committee standing. We have now okay, we did that already. We did that.
Madam
Did you want to say
President,
six?
could I make a motion that we discuss the board retreat some other time? Is that possible? Because that's quite an in-depth discussion.
Well, let me see, hold on.
I will second that motion.
Well, currently, right now, we do have a survey that we would like everybody to fill out. I know that much. And I know possibly somebody has already filled it out. Did you fill it out? Because, go ahead.
Yes, hold us accountable, Member Benavides.
Well, I don't know.
How about a day down at least?
I have.
Yes, yes. I'm sorry, I feel like we're getting kind of out of
Yes.
order here.
Wait,
but,
wait.
Are we done with?
Yes,
item-
we are done with
item
our,
8.1?
yes.
Okay. Okay, so go on, and I'm not gonna take over.
8.1 to serve, we did that one. So now we are headed to 8.2. So we need to have our discussion of the board retreat, and we're done after that. So,
And
but-
President Tomorito,
Yes.
if I may make a suggestion, we can keep the discussion very short, if that's okay with everyone. We don't have to go into depth. And I can give the survey results and we can move on, but I would rather not take it off the agenda. Okay.
So, if we were to have a board retreat, what topics would be helpful to discuss one of that? And I think that might be a little bit on the, our survey. And the one that came to mind is the upcoming individual board engagement events are there. And, so I'm gonna give each board member, if you want to discuss, we can, or just go off the survey. It's up to you. If you, or topics, we can just write down your topics that you're
Can we
interested in.
suggest Board Member Benavides to share the results and then
Yeah, thank you, Board Member Astorga. So just briefly, I sent out a survey, just actually asking about dates of availability. And so it doesn't have anything about topics or other suggestions for the retreat. So if you all don't mind that I just give the results as they came in, nobody's getting in trouble for not responding. But Dr. Blakey, myself, Board Member Jackson, Board Member Betson, and Board Member Martinez did respond. And it looks like so far, the days of the week that work best are Thursday through Saturday. And I left Sunday off because I feel like that's the sacred day for all of us. But I did put Monday through Saturday as options. And so Thursday, Friday, and Saturday are the most popular. And in terms of the time, midday, 9 a.m. through 1 p.m. got the majority of the votes. And the last question was, if none of the listed dates or times work for you, please provide alternate dates. And the responses are very kind, and most board members said I'll work with the consensus. So that is very encouraging. And I want to thank you all for filling out the survey. And I will keep it out there if those of you who have not want to do so.
Okay. Do we want to keep it there and then, or do you want to go ahead and talk about some topics that you want on there? Or do you want us to put another survey out and put your topics in there? Is that helpful? Okay, we'll do that. So we can, any other discussion? Courtney, you look like you might have a light bulb moment.
Well, I'm just, so I think from what I understand is we're going to continue to keep the survey open to maybe hone in on times as well as topics. And then when is the date going to be set? Like, will you send out an email to us to say this was the consensus, this is the topics, and then kind of move forward from there? Or are we waiting till the next board agenda to finalize?
I think we'll just go ahead and send that out because I know we want to get this done.
Yeah.
Right away. And so we'll go ahead as executive committee, go ahead and make that and then get the email out.
Perfect.
Okay.
Sounds great.
Does that sound good? Okay. Is that all right, Board Member Martinez?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So any other suggestions or discussion? Okay. I want to thank you all, you guys, for taking the time to fill out the survey and appreciate also our secretary for taking the time to put that survey together. But we'll go ahead as we proceed forward. We, as the executive committee, will make that determination on date, times, and then we will send it out to all the board members. So we'll proceed forward. So let's go on to our last agenda item, and that's the president's report. I want to thank all those who came to our public forum tonight. There were some very hot topics, but also ones that really take some concerns of not only the board to look into, but also to find out how we can improve what we're doing here as our work. But I do want to also make sure that our topics on the clear backpacks and some of the issues about them not working, we also addressed it here on the dais. But we're also very concerned for our children's health and well-being. And some of those topics that were brought up were some of the areas of safety and what we as a board will do about that. Also, that was a big concern and that was brought up not only in our questions, was the vendors and the AI tools and where data is being stored and how it is being used. So that is something we will also have to look into. And I know just recently as the holiday passed with Martin Luther King, I just really find that we as not only the adults in this world, but also as we protect the children, always remember that we have to do the right thing because our kids are counting on us. So let's always keep that a focus. And I'm really thankful that not only for the public forum dialogue, but it's not it saddens me that we can't respond. But we do have the rules in place to know that you were heard if you gave a comment and that there were needed, there's an expression that we need to also listen to. but we're working with the administration on resolution. But I also want to applaud those who do seek the public comment. Thank you for your courage, because it takes a lot to have to stand up there and address us who are sitting here. But also remember, for families, that the Student Service Center is there, and it provides numerous numbers of resources for us. Just take a moment to go there and seek it out if you need to. Next week, we have a few committee meetings. Tuesday, January 27th, we will host our virtual audit committee meeting at 5 p.m. We will also host a virtual finance committee, and that will meet on Thursday, January 29th at 3 p.m. Would thank anyone to watch. I know we got some little YouTube fans out there that always come, oh, I watched you on YouTube. We also have a lot of fans statewide too, believe it or not. Also we have new committees set up today, and I just want to thank those who did sign up to chair, to be to take on that leadership role. But we do have those meeting times, and well, in order to also make sure that those times we're going to state that. And I think currently right now we do have it listed out on our meeting announcements. So I just want to thank you guys all for attending, and remember that our next board meeting is February 4th. And it's here, and I did love the attendance today for all those families who were not only praising their children, but it helps us to also witness that we are doing our job, and we are trying to help kids also obtain their role in this world. And any way we can do that, I hope we always keep that a focus, because those opportunities need to be fair, and they need to be equal in anything and everything we do. So just thank you. And again, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
All right.